Okay, in our lesson today I want to review subtraction, particularly subtraction requiring regrouping. When we subtract, one of the first steps we need to recognize is the direction that we go. We always need to subtract from the right to the left. That means we're going in this direction, from the right to the left, opposite the way we read. 4 take away 2 is 2. The tens are next. 8 minus 2 is 6. The hundreds are next. 6 minus 3 is 3. And we would keep going toward the thousands and 10,000s, etc. In this first example that we see, there is no regrouping required. However, in the second group, there is. So when we subtract from right to left, ones, tens, and then the hundreds. Step 2 is to analyze the question. Before you do a question at all, boys and girls, you should look at it and ask yourself this question. Do I need to regroup anywhere? 947 minus 758, I can see that I will need to regroup for the ones and for the tens. So we cross off 4 tens, make those 3 tens, and we're setting 10 to the ones column. So 10 plus 7 is now 17. Now we can subtract. 17 minus 8 is 9 in the ones. But 3 tens cannot take away 5 tens, so we get help from the hundreds column. 9 hundreds become 8 hundreds, and then we are sending 10 next door. 13 minus 5 is 8, and finally in the hundreds column, 8 minus 7 is 1, for an answer of 189. When we subtract and we talk about an answer, we are talking about the difference. The difference between 947 and 758 is 189. Another helpful hint I would like to remind you is to avoid lazy subtraction. Lazy subtraction happens like this. A student looks at the question, does it very quickly, and thinks, this is easy. 9 minus 8 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 2, and 5 minus 3 is 2. That is incorrect. Lazy subtraction happens when we subtract up instead of down. So let's do this question properly. This is a no-no, subtracting up. 8 ones can't take away 9 ones, so we get help from next door. 8 plus 10 is 18. Now we can subtract. 18 minus 9 is 9. 1 10 can't take away 4 tens, so we get help from the hundreds columns. 5 becomes a 4. Send 10 next door. 1 plus a 10 it receives is 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. Finally subtract in the hundreds and we're done. 4 minus 3 is 1. Some more helpful hints. Be careful with zeros. When we subtract, zeros become nines when there is regrouping. However, not when 0 is in the ones column. In the question 406 minus 289, the 0 will become a 9. 6 ones can't take away 9 ones, so we will regroup the 0 as a 9. Whenever I regroup a 0 as a 9, I right away go next door and make it 1 less. And then we can continue subtracting. So now we've got 16. 16 minus 9 is 7. 9 take away 8 is 1. And 3 minus 2 is 1. However, when the 0 is in the ones column, this 0 does not become a 9. It is the only time that it becomes a 10. 0 cannot take away 3. You get help from the tens column. So that becomes a 0. And again, I recommend you right away make the next one 1 less. And then carry on. 0 becomes a 10, not a 9. 10 minus 3 is 7. And we borrow next door. 10 minus 7 is 3. And 6 minus 4 is 2. A helpful hint is we can recheck our work through addition, and here's how it works. Take your answer, your difference, and write it on top, perhaps on a scratch sheet of paper, or right next to it if you have the opportunity. Add to that the number right above it. So we're going to add 473 to that. And if we add correctly and it equals 710, we can assume that we subtracted correctly. 3 plus 7 is 10, so we carry. Add our 10s. 7 and 3 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Add the hundreds. 4, 5, 6, 7. Then compare. 710, 710. We've done the question correctly. Let's try rechecking the one above through addition. Take the answer, 117, add to it the number right above it, 289, and we're going to add the ones, that's 16, add the tens, 8 and 1 is 10, so we carry again, 2, 3, 4, 406, 406, we've done it correctly. 3 can't take away 4 and the 1, so we get help from the tens. 7 becomes a 6, 10 next door, 10 and 3 is 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. 6 and the tens cannot take away 8 tens, so we get help from the hundreds. 400 now becomes a 300, and you send 10 next door. That's going to make the 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. Now boys and girls, do not put 3 minus 3 and then put a 0 there. It's not necessary. You would be required to put a 0 in any other column except the first one that you see. So if this is in the hundreds column, then you leave it blank. If I added another number here, even so, in the thousands column, you would still leave it blank. Let's look at just a few more samples. In the ones, analyze the question. Will I need to regroup? Yes, I need to regroup all over the place. So here we go. 2 ones cannot take away 7 ones, so we get help. Becomes a 3. 2 and 10 becomes 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. 3 cannot take away 6, so we get help. 1s become 0s. Now we have 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. 0 in the hundreds cannot take away 9 hundreds, so we regroup this as 2. Send 10 next door. 10 minus 9 is 1. And then we bring down the thousands column for a total of 2,175. Remember that all the zeros become 9s except when they're in the ones column, then it must be a 10. 0 cannot take away 6. I tend to set up them right away. Here's an alternative. When there's zeros, I tend to do all my setups and then subtract. Becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 2 can't take away 5, but it gets help from next door. 12 minus 5 is 7. 9 take away 8 is 1. And 1 can come straight down here. 1,174. 6 and 4 is 10. Carry. That's 13. Carry again. 8, 9, 10. Carry one more time. Add up the thousands column. 2,030. 2,030. This is correct.